There was a time when the sound of a train whistle could stop an entire town in its tracks. Long before airplanes filled the skies and highways stretched from coast to coast, trains were the heartbeat of everyday life. They carried families to new beginnings, soldiers home from war, farmers to busy markets, and children who pressed their faces against the windows, amazed by the world rushing past. Every journey held a promise. Every station was filled with hope. But hidden beneath the romance of the rails was another story, one written in steel, smoke, and moments that changed history forever. Vintage train wrecks were more than broken engines and twisted tracks. They were reminders of how powerful these giant machines truly were and how fragile life could be when something went wrong. Looking back today, the old black and white photographs almost seem frozen in time. Massive steam locomotives lay on their sides like sleeping giants. Wooden passenger cars were split apart. Crowds gathered quietly, their faces filled with disbelief. It is hard to imagine the noise that came before the silence, the screech of metal, the thunder of wheels, the hiss of escaping steam, and then the sudden stillness that followed. In those days, railroads were built with incredible determination. Workers carved tracks through mountains, crossed wide rivers with towering bridges, and laid thousands of miles of steel across open land. They worked through snowstorms, blazing heat, and dangerous conditions. Every mile connected people in ways never seen before. Yet the technology of the time was still growing. Communication was slower. Safety systems were simpler. Sometimes one small mistake was all it took to turn an ordinary trip into an unforgettable tragedy. Imagine standing beside a country railway in the early morning. The air is cool. Birds sing from nearby trees. Then, in the distance, a steam whistle echoes across the fields. The train appears through a cloud of smoke, shining in the sunlight. Children wave with excitement as it rolls past. For most people, it was a beautiful sight. But every railroad worker knew there was always danger hiding behind the beauty. One loose rail, one missed signal, one unexpected obstacle could change everything in seconds. Many vintage train wrecks happened because of things people today might hardly think about. Heavy rain weakened the ground beneath the tracks. Thick fog hid warning signals. Bridges gave way after years of carrying enormous weight. Sometimes two trains unknowingly raced toward each other because messages arrived too late. In an age before modern computers and automatic controls, people relied on careful timing, handwritten schedules, and trust. Most of the time, it worked. But when it failed, the results were heartbreaking. One of the most unforgettable images from those years is the sight of steam rising from a damaged locomotive after a crash. The engine, once full of strength and purpose, suddenly became quiet. Rescue workers climbed over broken wood and bent iron, searching carefully for survivors. Neighbors rushed from nearby farms and towns, bringing blankets, water, food, and helping hands. Complete strangers became heroes without ever expecting recognition. What is remarkable is how people responded after these disasters. Communities did not simply watch from a distance. They came together. Doctors worked through the night. Volunteers cleared debris with simple tools. Families opened their homes to passengers who had nowhere to go. Railroad workers risked their own lives to protect others. Even in the darkest moments, kindness traveled faster than fear. The old newspapers often told dramatic stories about these accidents, but they also spoke of courage. Conductors stayed at their posts until every passenger was safe. Engineers desperately tried to slow their trains in impossible situations. Ordinary travelers comforted frightened children and helped injured strangers. These quiet acts of bravery became just as important as the accidents themselves. Looking at vintage photographs today, there is something almost haunting about them. You see men wearing hats standing beside wrecked locomotives. Women hold on to one another with worried expressions. Children watch with wide eyes, trying to understand what happened. Around them, Towering clouds of steam drift into the sky while railroad cranes slowly lift pieces of twisted steel. Every photograph tells two stories at once. One is about disaster. The other is about resilience. Over time, every major accident became a lesson. Railroads improved their signals. Stronger bridges replaced older ones. Better brakes were developed. New communication systems helped prevent trains from entering the same track at the wrong time. Engineers studied every failure so future passengers would be safer. Progress often came because people refused to let tragedy have the final word. Today, many of those old steam engines rest quietly in museums. Their polished wheels no longer race across the countryside. Visitors admire their beautiful designs, the brass fittings, the giant driving wheels, and the powerful boilers. Children climb aboard, pretending to be engineers, hearing stories from grandparents who still remember the age of steam. Few realize that these magnificent machines witnessed both incredible triumphs and heartbreaking moments. There is something deeply human about remembering these stories. We are not fascinated by train wrecks because of destruction alone. We remember them because they reveal the strength of ordinary people when life suddenly changes. They remind us that every invention, no matter how wonderful, carries responsibility. They remind us that progress is built not only through success but also through learning from mistakes. The whistle of a distant train still carries a special feeling. It speaks of adventure, family reunions, long journeys, and memories waiting beyond the horizon. For older generations, it may bring back childhood mornings spent counting freight cars or waving to engineers who answered with a cheerful blast of the horn. For younger listeners, it opens a window into a world where steam filled the air and every railway station buzzed with excitement. As we remember the vintage train wrecks of the past, we also remember the people whose courage shaped a safer future. We honor the workers who rebuilt broken tracks, the rescuers who never gave up, and the families who found hope after heartbreak. Their stories continue to travel through history, just like the trains they once rode. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson these old railways leave behind. Life's journey is not always smooth. Sometimes the tracks ahead seem uncertain. Unexpected moments may test our strength in ways we never imagined. Yet history quietly reminds us that people have always found ways to rise again. They repair what is broken. They comfort one another. They keep moving forward. And maybe, somewhere beyond the last bend in the tracks, another whistle is waiting to be heard, not as a warning, but as a promise. A promise that every new generation can build something stronger, kinder, and safer than the one before. Just like those enduring rails stretching toward the horizon, hope continues its journey, carrying us forward together, 1 mile, one memory, and one brighter tomorrow at a time.